He's the man in the back of the room, y con la voz de Dios. He's told U.S. presidents where to sit, CEOs where to go, and stars when to shine. But as he likes to point out,
who cares? I care.
It's true, she cares, and so does he. He's entertainment and production agency owner and meeting and event master, Anthony Bollotta. She's his Agent 99, and you're about to be Bollotta-FIDE.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Bollotta-FIDE, the one and only pod about events, entertainment, and engagement. I'm Anthony Bollotta. I'm here every week, as I am with the always optimistic, always delicious Alexia Cristina Bozdalidis. Opa Alex.
Picanis, Anthony.
Good.
You know, they can't see me batting my eyes whenever you introduce me because it just makes me feel so good.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yay.
I'm glad that you're an eye batter and that you're batting your eyes and that I make you bat your eyes.
Could you repeat that, please?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I don't think so. But it is a glorious day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. It's summer here, and it's summer all over the United States, as it is. And I'm excited because I have this little atomizer here, this little delicious, I'm smelling the most delicious aroma that I have had in my guest bathroom since March, and is still making my guest bathroom smell so fresh and delicious. And I just had to let you share this with you, Alex, because, you know, our guest today is going to talk all about these delicious scents, and I thought it might perk me up to have one sitting right next to me as we did this podcast. And I was right. I'm feeling perked up.
I love it, but I got to tell you, I'm having FOMO.
I'm so sorry. I mean, it was
really, it's okay. It's okay.
Please forgive me, because it really was a last minute decision to run into the bathroom. You might have seen that I disappeared from this little tete-a-tete for a moment, and I ran into the bathroom to get it because I thought, oh, I should have this here with me as we conduct this interview, which we're going to do in just a few minutes. And we'll talk all about these delicious scents.
You're forgiven. I can't resist your big, beautiful eyes. So,
oh, thank you. Thank you. Stop. Don't stop. As I give her the sign to keep going, I'll admit it.
Yeah, I know we have a lot to talk about, but really quickly, I did want to mention the Mandy Patinkin concert.
You went to see Mandy Patinkin on June 5th.
4th,
excuse me. I was around there sometime. How was the concert?
I love that man.
I know you do.
You know, can he sing like he used to? No. The high notes, an occasion were there, he sang mostly, and it was a little, not gonna lie, it was a little warbly when it was down there. But man, that man sells the song. And he was acerbic and off the cuff and conversational and called the audience out. I don't know that everybody appreciated. I did it because he didn't do it in a Patty LaPone kind of way. He did it tongue in cheek. He was laughing with them as he was making fun of them. He wasn't yelling at them.
Right. Was it different?
It was totally different. He had me in stitches the entire time, and he was very real. And when he didn't feel like, he literally turned to his pianist and said, we're not ready. I'm tired. And then he would just start talking, and he goes, I got to sit for a while longer. You know, the first time when I saw him 30 years ago, he was super physical. And his piano player at the time was Paul Ford. And he was he was drenched in sweat because he was so physical. I don't know why I had it in my mind that he would still be that way. It was a very different experience. And I appreciated it so much. But it's just watching somebody adapt to the changes that happen in life, adapt to their vocal changes, adapt to their physical changes, and yet having the courage to get up there and be unabashedly and unapologetically who he is at this stage in his life
Mm,
and give one hell of a performance.
mm.
He
That
had
is,
me laughing. He had me crying. It was better than Cats.
well, anything is better than Cats.
Yes,
It's a
pretty
very
much.
low bar,
Pretty much.
but it's refreshing to hear that. And it makes me believe even stronger that what the world needs now is authenticity.
Mhm.
And we're all, just screaming for that. And
Mhm.
the same with our events, when they feel disingenuous, when things don't come together well, when it feels like you're trying to fit too much into the evening, it comes across as, inauthentic and hard to connect to.
Yeah.
So I love hearing that.
Good. So
I'm
thank you
sorry.
for that.
Absolutely. I'm sorry I missed it. I know I had the opportunity to go with you, and I honestly just wasn't feeling like a concert that night, and I think
I
that's
get it.
okay too.
It
I
really is okay. And I gave a really good excuse to Mandela. I explained to him why you weren't there,
thank you.
and he was okay with it. He said, "I'm disappointed, but I
Thank you.
understand." You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Thank you. I know I knew I could count on you for that.
Of course.
Other people might have thrown me under the bus, but not you, Alex.
No, not me.
Never.
Not me.
Never.
But,
Never, never,
but
never, never. You're above that.
well, not always.
Well, I think so.
Okay.
You always
That's
take the
good.
high road. You always take the high road. You do. Even when you're on the low road, it's a higher road
Okay.
than most.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it because
Yeah.
I feel like I've been failing a little bit at that lately. So I appreciate that. It's
Oh,
perking me up
good.
a bit. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good, good.
Okay, before we get started, if you're a new listener, please take this time to like and subscribe.
Go ahead. We'll give you a sec.
Why, thank you!
I'm a little concerned about my tipsy today. I do have a tipsy.
Let's get tipsy!
That it might sound a little bit like a rant, but I'm going to go with it because
Good.
it's a very important tipsy to share. And I hope that it comes across with the same kind of passion that it is being shared. So my tipsy today is about surprises. Now, I have a really, really good relationship with surprises. I love the element of surprise. I appreciate its potential value when planned and executed well, which for me translates to ensuring said surprise has meaning beyond it merely being a surprise. A reward for achieving a previously stated goal, a tie-in to the recipient's predilections, anything that gives the surprise life beyond the moment it's presented, and of course, detailing the setup. You execute under a shroud of secrecy, you hope, because it takes a village, and with such precision as to catch your recipient completely off guard and render them receptive. That's right, receptive. Willing, happy, excited to accept your grand gesture. The element of surprise is a useful audience engagement tool and, quite honestly, not at all new. Oprah did it decades ago. Ellen did it on her show. Shoot, we did it when we booked Kelly Clarkson as a surprise entertainment for a client way back in 2012. The point is that when done thoughtfully, the element of surprise will breathe new life into your event like nothing else can, and maybe even make it memorable. Now, all this said, not all surprises are good surprises. And here's an example and where the rant might begin. You're on site executing a plan for a grand finale with a vendor you've not worked with before. This grand finale cost quite a few dollars. You've given the vendor a schedule beforehand. Accept it without comment, just to thank you for sharing that with us. And as go time ticks closer and the preceding speech is planned for the evening, before the finale could begin, cease to end at the prescribed time. They just keep going and going. And you're informed by the vendor that if you don't go soon, you may not be able to go at all. What? In the words of Meryl Streep in Death Becomes Her, now a warning? Folks, especially those of you that provide event services, the time to communicate a potential issue is not at the time the issue is about to rear its ugly head. That's giving someone a bad surprise. The time to communicate is way before that point, during the planning stages when the planner and the client have an opportunity to take action that will avoid the issue altogether. Events are fluid affairs. Humans make it so. So be smart, think ahead, and communicate up front. Don't give anyone a bad surprise on site. And that is my TIPSY.
How wonderful it would be if everybody could hear. I mean, you call it a rant. I call it solid business.
Well, thank you for that. But, I'm ranting because it happened to me recently.
Mm-hmm.
And, as I have to do, look at my own actions and inactions. And I try to think, is there something that I could have done differently? Yes, I can ask the question next time. Are there time constraints? Do we have to be careful about going over? I need to ask that question, but it should have been communicated to me even without asking. It was that crucial. It was that important. And when somebody who says they've been in the industry for years and years and years and have done all of these great shows, when they look at a schedule and they see speech, 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 finale, there should be some indication to them that, oh, okay, these speeches are scheduled beforehand. What if they go long? I need to be prepared for that, or at least prepare the client that if these go too long, there could be an issue. There needs to be that sort of you're thinking ahead and having forethought, and there wasn't.
No, they're the expert in this. If you knew all the questions to ask in a field that is not, or an area that you don't have expertise in, if you knew to ask those questions, you would then be the expert. You are not in this particular field.
Correct.
And when you have somebody who's been doing it exactly right, they should know to say, come on, when have speeches ever ended at the prescribed time?
Rare.
Rare.
And it reminds me of, working with like Cirque Mechanics, our friends there.
Yes.
They have these incredible mechanics, these machines that they have built that are used at events. They understand logistics, and they are sure to tell us all of the idiosyncrasies beforehand, so we know in advance what we have to look for to make sure that it'll work. That's what we're talking about here. And that just didn't happen in this case. And it's a shame because it was an incredible show that we built. And everyone is talking about it.
Yes,
but
they are.
I don't ever want to do it again because it was just so stressful on site. And I don't really like the person that I become when I'm surprised like that on site, which is somebody who's trying to keep it together for everyone else, but is so mad because there's a weak link in the chain, and it's just reared its ugly head at the most inopportune time.
Right.
A time when you feel helpless because there is very little you can do. And in these circumstances, I was also trapped where I was. I couldn't maneuver around the stage. I couldn't get in front of the speakers to try to give them a high sign. A lieutenant general, by the way.
Right.
As if that's going to...
Giving a very important speech as well.
Right. I mean, I was helpless,
Right.
and that only adds to the stress when there's nothing you can do, as opposed to being told a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance. Shoot, when we booked it, that would have been the time, because then I could have been very proactive and
Right.
said to my client, listen, we want to be very careful about speeches. So let's not have an MC. Let's just do this with, in this way. I was helpless at that point,
Right.
and it was really infuriating. And
Scary.
it is.
It was scary.
Well, it was, because in this case, there was a financial hitch here.
Right.
This wasn't a cheap show. And, if the client didn't, here was the catch. If the show didn't go off for reasons concerning weather or any reason, we were not going to get a refund. We would get an opportunity to reschedule that show in the future, which meant that I would take that on because the client wasn't coming back to San Diego anytime soon. So it was going to be my financial obligation. And I just don't think that was appreciated at all. And I'm sorry to say that my email to them has gone on no response, which means that they don't want to learn from this experience,
Right.
that I'm probably the bad guy for not being happy with them, which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
All right,
is
let's move
unfortunate.
on to some smelly, sweet, sunshiny topics and get off of this crazy.
Well, I'm just going to tell you one thing. I'm going to say
All right.
one thing to you really quickly.
All right,
Okay?
I'm here.
Na ise elinas. Na sinkoris ala na minksenas.
Say it again.
Na ise elinas. Na sinkoris ala na minksenas.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like if somebody does you wrong, cut off their nuts.
Okay, so that would be the Sicilian part, the version of it. The Greek version is be like a Greek. Forgive, but never forget.
Oh, I'm really good at that. I'm a Scorpio. We do that in spades.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's a good thing.
Thank you, Yaya. Agreed. Done.
Oh.
All right. So who are we talking to today? Let's let everybody know she's
Oh.
delicious, and she's waiting, and she's beautiful. So let's bring her on.
And she smells nice.
And she smells nice.
Okay. Well, when it comes to understanding and leveraging the power of scent, our guest today is quite an expert. Her groundbreaking approach using scent to enhance experiences and events has led to collaborations with corporate clients and event planners across the nation. She created the first ever scented piece of art for Denver International Airport. Now I got to go to Denver.
I want to hear about that.
I know, I do too. She opened a Denver-based catering company called Yours Truly Cupcake, curating branded experiences and edible libations for clients like Neiman Marcus, Kate Spade, and Louis Vuitton, just to name a few. She is a pioneer in creating atmospheric aroma for events that weaves the fragrance into the overall fabric and story of the event. Please welcome founder and CEO of SCENTEX, Tiffany Rose Goodyear.
Hello.
Hi. What'd you think of that introduction?
The surprise scenario that led
No,
into my introduction.
Your introduction.
Oh, I have a lot. Oh, it was amazing.
I thought so too. I
Thank
thought it was
you.
so well delivered.
It
I felt like
was.
I felt like I was on the radio listening.
Oh, good.
It was great.
Thank you.
Tiffany Rose.
Here I am.
Yes, you are. You are right here in front of us. And just to help the audience get to know you a little better, we hope you don't mind. We'd like to start with something called 10 quick questions.
10 quick questions.
10 quick questions?
The whole point of this is I ask you a crazy question and you give me the first answer that comes to your mind in under 2 minutes. And Alex usually watches the clock if she doesn't get caught up in the conversation. And are you ready to go with 10 quick questions?
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Okay, good. That's the first time I've ever heard that, by the way. All right, question number 1. What is your absolute favorite scent?
No scent at all. Just kidding. I go through a lot of scents. I don't have any. Right. I'm already bad at this. My absolute favorite scent, I would say, is my mom's Thanksgiving dinner.
Ah, beautiful. Let's
Oh.
bottle it and sell it. If you were a cupcake, what flavor cupcake would you be?
Not vanilla.
How
Good answer.
about everything but vanilla?
Everything but everything but vanilla. I love that.
Okay, I do too. I do too. Okay, what color do you wear when you want to feel powerful?
Black.
And you know, Peach Fuzz is Pantone's 2024 color of the year, Peach Fuzz. What comes to mind when I say Peach Fuzz?
The fact that I haven't dermaplaned in a minute. Also juicy.
Well, we can't see it, so
No.
you must be doing something right.
I'm
Are you
next.
speechless? Okay, here we go. Charisma, uniqueness, nerve, or talent. Charisma, uniqueness, nerve, or talent. Which of these has served you most in your career?
All of the above.
Oh,
I love you. Love that answer.
She is a quadruple threat.
Yes.
Okay, number 6. What is the last thing you got in trouble for saying or doing?
So many to choose from. I think the thing about being a boss, though, is I'm the one that gives like I don't get in trouble. I don't have a husband. I don't have one. So I guess a client I don't get in trouble. I get away with it.
Oh, well, you'll have to give lessons, please.
Please.
I get in trouble all the time. Okay, spritzer or dabber? Which gets the job done better?
I'm gonna go with spritzer.
Are you a spritzer or a dabber?
I'm not even sure what you mean by dabber.
Well, I think maybe back in the day, perfumes didn't always have sprays, and you would just dab it on your finger and then you'd put it on your neck in the 3 areas that you're taught to put it on your neck. And that's what I would call dabbing.
I love that, and you're not wrong. I'm a spritzer. I think most perfumes I own these days are atomized. Even samples are
Yeah.
atomized now. I think
think you're right.
historically the mechanism of spritzing is more popular. Although you could have asked about rolling too, because I feel like rollers are still very popular. In fact, I
Yes.
have some here.
Men use
think-
rollers too. Yeah. That's become very popular for men too, to roll the scent all over your body. And also what's become popular are salves.
Oh, or like bombs. They've scent bombs.
Like bombs.
Too,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And that's actually like the oldest technology. Thinking about like scent and like enfleurage and how scent is made, like through fats. Like you would then have a bomb.
Right. But I wonder if we're going off on a tangent, if you waste a lot when you're atomizing it, or if you lose some of the scent. Like, I wonder if there's some scientific reason why some of the perfumes didn't come with atomizers when they could have.
Now that I'm thinking about this and knowing the science behind it, it's a very, very good question. Do you want to dig? Do you want to dig deep right now into like
No.
scent molecules?
No, but I do later because we're
Okay,
gonna
good.
take a
I
question.
think there's good. I think that's a great question, and I think there's good reason for it. And I think it has to do with both technology, how to like atomizers are obviously a mechanism as opposed to like a bomb. So
Right, which
there's
is
a lot to go-
which is applied immediately and not
Right.
going through another dingy. Okay.
I just have to add, I love that you know, Anthony, where to apply when you're dabbing, and I don't.
Oh,
Love that about you. Okay,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can move on.
there's a reason for it too. Okay. All right. Number 8. Assuming you have at least one, like the rest of us mere mortals, what is your guiltiest pleasure? She's thinking about what not to say.
My guiltiest pleasure is related to the amount of freedom that my life has, and I do whatever I want whenever I want.
the life.
Yeah, you should feel damn guilty about that if you ask me. That sounds like a good one. I agree. Okay. I think you need something to tie you down, girl. All right, number 9. Which Disney princess could be your soul sister?
I would say Cinderella. I lean towards Cinderella.
I do. I don't know what it is. I love Cinderella. She's my favorite. Yeah. But now, Alex would say Snow White.
But you know the reason why. Because she's ordering 7 little men about.
Yeah, she likes that idea.
I like that idea of getting
I
people
like-
to do my bidding.
No. I like the underdog thing, though, with Cinderella, you know. She's the one that nobody believes is going to make it on top, and then there she is. The shoe fits.
But she also knows how to put in the work.
Yes,
She does. Yes, she does put in the work. She dang, that's all she does.
Right.
Right. And she
With a
doesn't
smile on
complain
her
about it.
face.
Right, exactly.
She has help too, though, with the squirrels and the birds and the mice.
That's true, but you know,
She's
they're
not
messy.
helpless.
They're messy too, though, you know.
Oh, that's true.
You know, so you gotta, you know, it's like, right, pick your poison, right? All right. Number 10. We could go on. Number 10, last question. You've done very well, by the way, and you're not sweating at all. I can see you've kept your composure. Number 10. How is your boyfriend, Mick Raffone, excuse me, let me rephrase that. How is your boyfriend, Mike Raffone, doing since, oh, wait, let me try this again, damn it. How is your boyfriend, Mike Raffone, doing? And do you have plans to be with him again soon?
I'm so glad you should ask. It's embarrassing I don't have a mic right here because I have so many boyfriends. Sometimes even for podcast reviews, I have like this tiny one that I use, but he's at home right now.
Oh,
I
like the 7 little men.
It is. I probably have 7 little mics.
Mm.
I do have my next big microphone dates is with NACE. The National Convention is coming to Denver, and I get to be a speaker there. And they always try to give me a lav microphone, and I'm like, but I really just like the way it feels in my hands.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I love having the handheld in my hand.
Mhm.
You also MC events, which we've come to learn in our stalking of you.
I'm like, how do you know this? I'm so impressed. I haven't MC. So I was a stand-up comedian for a little tiny like swath of time. And it was because I was MCing burlesque shows. That's how that whole business got started. Before we came on, we talked about how we're all dancers in the audience, or in the audience not in the audience, hopefully also in the audience. But I was a dancer growing up. I burlesque dance for a minute. It was really like a dance recital for me in my 30s because I missed that audience. And then I started hosting. They gave me the microphone and I'm like, this is it for me. And then I was like, oh, I had a drama with a show one time. And I had to be on stage for 10 minutes have no idea what's going on. Like something happened. It turns out their cops were called on the the sound engineers.
Oh.
And I had to be on stage, like winging it, improvising for 10 minutes.
It's a lifetime.
It is a lifetime. And I was in like a to go back to the Disney character, I looked like a Disney princess. And somebody came up later and was like, you did a great set. And I was like, she thinks I did a set? Like that, like I have there's something here. And then I pursued to be a comic for a minute. Decided I didn't want to do it because that's something I'd have to quit my life and to be like an excellent comedian. You have to dedicate your life to it. And I was like, I just don't have that kind of dedication. But I did do a couple of open mics in New York, like on an actual stage, and figured I'm not actually that funny. But that's how the whole microphone thing started. So thank you for doing your research and acknowledging that, because that is a fun time to think about.
Well, it's awesome that you do that. Doing it myself, I know that it isn't easy. I do know that 10 minutes feels like a lifetime. And, you know, being funny when somebody expects you to be funny is probably the hardest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a certain amount of confidence to get up there and even try. You know, you really have to be willing to put yourself out there. So I applaud you.
Yes, absolutely.
Alex and I took stand-up classes, but they were all virtual. And because we were in lockdown, even our end of class performances were virtual. So it was a bit easier than it would have been doing it live because we could rely on notes. You know, nobody really knew because they were all virtual, and it was basically students anyway. So I mean, I probably would have been mortified to get up on stage in front of people and, you know, try to not only be funny, but remember all the bit, remember the routine, right? It's a lot. It's more than it looks like. They make it look so easy.
Yes, they do.
And that is why I decided, because it's truly a craft and an art. And like, you have to, like, the repetition of it, the time you have to put in, the nuance with even like the word choice. And I mean, it's fascinating. And yeah, I applaud anybody that does it, or anybody that even tries to do it. It's not easy. It's not easy to go on stage for any reason, right? I mean,
No.
they always say it's people's number one fear.
Yes.
I think to your point, trying to be funny or be the expectation of funny and then like not having a land.
Yes.
And I hate even watching bad like, or a comic that's not having their best day, I should say. Like, that's, as an audience member, you're just like,
you just want to hug them.
You do.
Yeah,
You just want to hug them.
And you're the only one in the
yes.
You're the only one in the audience that will hug them because everybody else is hating them, right?
I won't throw tomatoes, you know, I'll hand them a bowl of chicken soup. No, and you have to do all this and make it appear as if it's just effortlessly coming to you in the moment. None of this is rehearsed. There's no nuance. There's no little, oh, let's put a railroad stop here to let us know we need to pause and turn the head to the right. I mean, it's all, every nuance is practiced.
That's what makes it so exciting, I think, also when you are practiced and you've got the audience in the palm of your hands and they're just waiting for the next joke. That's it doesn't beat that, right?
Hey, it's magic.
It's magic. So what inspired you to begin curating scents for events?
Great question. So as was mentioned in the intro, I own a dessert catering company in Denver that I never intended to start. It became a bakery in COVID, and my background is advertising and marketing. So it's weird how it happens. I didn't intend to have like a bakery type situation, but I was in grad school. I used to bake for fun, and sometimes the universe lights a path and you walk down it, even though it's not exactly what you intended to do. And so with our desserts, I really loved exploring like why people act or why people do what they do and how you can communicate to people. So communicating through desserts. And we would build like ridiculous over the top dessert interactive stations, like Willy Wonka on crack.
Yep.
And for me, it was all about thinking about like how to move people or how to make people like really remember the experience or have an experience like they've never had before regarding, I mean, sugar was our medium. And then really thinking about touch, taste, and smell. So from a branding perspective, it's like you can have a beautiful logo, a beautiful message, a beautiful campaign, and that's audiovisual. But through thinking about that, because that's where my head was at, like through desserts or through something you can actually touch, taste, and smell, and something you can actually put in your mouth, you can get a whole different reaction from a human being if you have that kind of level of intimacy from a branded strategic perspective. And so then I started thinking about smell, and like really smell is the one thing in events that I'd never heard of that like anybody paid attention to. Thinking about food in terms of scent, yes, you have to smell to taste, and those like taste and smell are intricately linked, but those are also like personal scent experiences, right? Like if I'm eating a bite of something, you are not eating the same bite, even though you may be eating the same thing, you're having your own experience. So thinking about like a shared scent experience, I started doing just like scenting things. Back to my level of freedom in my life. I do whatever I want when I want to do it. So I started like buying diffusers and scenting things and kind of seeing how scent worked in spaces. And like I would show up to things with diffusers in like public spaces just to kind of see. And this is when scent marketing was starting to take off with hotel lobbies. So there was starting to be context for it, but not in an event way. So I sent to the Denver International Airport. It was a temporary installation with an artist. He did like a 3-story lily sculpture in the middle of the like terminal. And so I did a bunch of research about scents, and I like down a huge rabbit hole for like the fragrance that I chose, like what it means as far as like welcoming and like being an airport and having people come, from all over the world and having this experience. And so I would say that, and that is sort of how I could see like how to scent dynamic environments. And again, I just like kind of started doing it. So I got a couple of clients that would pay for this. I kind of, again, just started doing the work, and then the business came later. I technically launched in 2020, which is also kind of a joke to say when you're an event company.
Well, the fact that you're still here says a lot about you,
Yes.
because that was the worst time to launch.
But because of that, also the silver lining for me was I actually really delved deep into, like, you guys were doing stand-up classes. I was taking perfume classes, and I'm not somebody who was like super into perfume prior. I mean, there are people that are like really into perfume. I was never that person. I always loved my personal fragrances. I love a scented candle now again, but I wasn't steeped in the science or like the history of perfume, the history of scenting spaces. So I really got to spend a year without being able to work, learning it. And then again, after 2020, kind of doing the work, Smart Meetings Magazine, they took I called them and I was like, can I come scent your events? And the fact that they said yes to me, I was like, this is wild. But you can't fake an event either. Like, you guys can both speak to this. Like, you can't take a bunch of like pieces of equipment or speakers, lighting, whatever, and like put them in a blank ballroom and think you're going to get an understanding about how people actually move through this space and what the vibe and the emotion that is there without actual people. Somebody said to me recently, an event is just a room full of nervous systems. And I'm like, I find that so fascinating. And we are nervous systems, and we are the way we experience the world. And events are all about creating experiences. So the idea that one of our 5 sensory receptors has virtually been ignored is why I have a company, and why I think the work that I do is so meaningful from an education perspective too, just to get people to think about, what does their event smell like? What does their venue smell like? What can you do as an experience creator strategically, to influence that piece, and how does it weave into the rest of the story of the event? I started doing it. I'm doing it. I'm still figuring out how to do it in a way that's more attainable for the masses. But again, just to think about it, I think is the first step. Well, that was circuitous.
Well, no, it's great. And
great.
I think the context is that before you started this, I think there were some players, and they may still be around, but there weren't, the market really isn't flush with providers of scent. And before you started this, we've been teaching that in order to get to people's emotions, in order to really connect with them, you have to touch the 5 senses. And the more you're able to touch each one of those senses, the more successful you're going to be in really connecting with them and reaching them. So scent, to your point, you're right, it has been missing, except for whatever scent emanates from the food that they're eating, which admittedly is very little by the time it gets to the person, because it's usually been sitting around in a hot box if it's a large group. But scent has been the missing element in creating the experience that you just described. So it's really great that somebody is thinking about it, because it is essential to creating memorable experiences. Very essential. So how do you I know that your clients play a big role in the sense that you select, right? But how do you ensure that the scents you're selecting don't fight with the menu, for example, or the cuisine or the experience?
So part of that I mentioned earlier, like I like to separate a difference between an intimate scent experience and a shared scent experience. So if you think about a hotel lobby and you walking into a hotel lobby and I mean, pick one, the Edition. People always talk about the Delano. They love that one.
Weston had a scent for a
Weston is a
while.
white tea time scent that's very popular. Like even thinking about that, like even if you're walking through that lobby experience, if you're eating your Luna bar, you're not necessarily having this like, oh God, where am I? You know what I mean? So there's not
True.
as much discordance as like, again, if you really think about it, you would never put a scented candle. So a candle is a shared scent experience on a table where you're eating a filet mignon. Like
Right.
that
Right.
doesn't translate well. So I think the elements involved with regard to making sure that it's not an interference is space and timing. So for weddings, we'll typically scent the ceremony, and then we will scent a cocktail hour, because again, it's not about the food as much. It's like you're having a cocktail, you're in this atmosphere. It's louder during cocktail hour too than it is for dinner. And for dinner, we will bring down the scent. I mean, owning a dessert situation, desserts lend themselves better. Confection does to scent. So we paired some of our dessert experiences with scent. And like, again, that kind of like, or even the smell of coffee is a shared scent if there's a big urn in the room, but it also like, again, it pairs with the chocolate cake that you're also being served. And then we'll bring up scent, again, back to the wedding scenario, we'll bring scent back up for the desserts because that can lend itself well. And I think it's about, again, it's just about strategery and thinking about it. Like, yeah, you probably don't want to pump a room full of, again, even the scent of the like rose when you're sitting down to eat. Not that like this like overarching scent experience necessarily affects each bite, but maybe you also bring the music down when people are having conversations during an
Exactly.
event.
You leave
So-
room for another experience. You're
Exactly.
interplaying with all the other experiences. You're not trying to take over the event and overwhelm. It makes perfect sense.
Perfectly described.
So could I ask you a question about the airport? Did you actually stand around and watch people as they experienced the scent for the first time? And if you did, what is it you observed?
I not only did that with the airport, but I do it at every event that I attend. And that is, again, that's sort of back to the smart meeting, is sort of allowing me to do my work. Nobody knew why I was there. You know, I looked like a conference goer. And
The girl in the soccer in the background. What is she doing here? Right.
Exactly. I listen to what people say, and that is the reason that the business still exists. And I think that like there's a certain audience. We all have different sensory sensitivities, right? We wear glasses. Some people wear hearing aids. Like some people need other devices to experience the world. So we all have different degrees in which different stimulus like affects us.
Right.
So some people walk by and probably you could have asked, it could have been really strong and they have no idea, like their minds are just not there. And then like a certain percentage comments on it, right? And then another, like there's people in the middle, like you can watch them it's funny with the dessert situation, I used to love to watch people eat cupcakes, and I'm like, I could tell by the way they unwrapped it, whether they were going to like it or not, and how they like interacted. Now that I think about it, I'm also an expert in watching people smell a room and like watching their face, right? Like you can tell sort of people are deep in thought or they're having a conversation, and you can kind of see like a moment sort of come over them where it's like, something is different here. I don't know what it is. And if you asked me what it is, I couldn't say, oh, it smells different here than it did over there. But you are creating a space and an atmosphere where you can look on somebody's face. And again, it's not everybody all the time, and really see that there is a shift. And then there is those certain percentage that says them, oh, wow. Oh, do you smell that? Oh my God, it smells. And those are people that are usually with somebody else. And then they acknowledge it to the person that they're around. So that's how I've witnessed it in the past. I think maybe I've done a disservice to myself by not really like doing a survey, but I also feel like that ruins the experience. One of the things that I don't like to do, and I is like signage and be like, oh, SCENTEX is sponsoring this. What does it smell like? You know, I'm like, that ruins the experience for me. I'm like, I just want it to sort of be that transformative and transportive experience when people walk into a space. And we're not alone. I think doing corporate events it works really, sometimes scent works really well in a space where there's nothing, right? Like it's another educational session in a ballroom. So when I speak, I sent my educational sessions with scent, and obviously they kind of know what they're coming to see, so they're more aware of it. So in those kind of like drab white boxes, you do see it is more concentrated of like the reaction that you see. On the other hand, the other place that I think we do our best work is when an event is so transformative, right? That you are literally walking from the quotidian, your everyday, and you step into an event, you step into somebody else's world that they've created. And that is that lighting. I mean, I'm thinking like a jungle or a Hawaiian or a lush, like you have, you know, plants sort of like reaching out to you, and the decor is just, you're succumbing to the entire experience, adding scent to that. Nobody, I mean, very few people in my experience are like, oh, it's just the fragrance. It's not just it's the everything, but then the addition of fragrance, it just takes it to the next level. And to your point, it does speak to your, you know, your limbic brain. It does get into your memory making facilities, and those are the things that that are most memorable in a way. So that when you smell, especially with weddings, when you smell your wedding, you know, 5 years later, it's like that moment where it just takes you right back.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can have a walk in, smell something, and it can take me back to my childhood and bring me back to happy tears. You know, a memory of walking down the acre, mowing grass with my dad, or gardening, or doing, you know, being in the kitchen and cooking with my mom. All of those things that I no longer have the opportunity to share with that person, but it will bring me back as if they're happening again. And it's so lovely.
And it's about the authenticity again. You know, when you do walk into a room that's been transformed and the lighting is alive and the scenery is enveloping you, you might not notice the scent at first because you're overcome by the sensory experience. But then when it comes in, it just makes it feel even more authentic, to your point. And, you know, we started this episode with the idea of surprise. And I think you are a proponent of surprise in your business because, like you say, you don't like to advertise, oh, Sense by. You want people to feel it when they walk in. And that's a surprise. And that's a nice surprise. And that's what adds to the experience and elevates us a bit, right? Because we're walking into a room and we're not expecting something, and it hits us, it overtakes us for a moment, we notice it, and it's joyful, right? And we can almost sort of set anew where we're going and what we're doing because of that one slight change in the environment. It's really magical. And, you know, I commend you for it. Now, let's ask you, though, small rooms, big rooms, are there limitations to the size room that you can scent? What are some of the issues or challenges that you face when you want to scent a room?
I think the challenges in scent in general is we don't have a lot of language to talk about. It's difficult to talk about. It literally, as I mentioned earlier, your olfactory is in your limbic brain. So it's the oldest part of your brain. It bypasses language and rationality. That's why when you smell that thing and you're taken just that, it's hard to even describe. You're just there, right? You're just like there, and you're like, well, kind of what happened? And you can't necessarily say, oh, that's a green scent, and like describe the scent molecules. We don't even talk about scent molecules. So I think it's hard to describe in general. So even thinking about adding it to something, you know, it's just not something that we're thinking about or talking about. With regard to, I think, the size of the room, one of our greatest challenges is communicating to guests, like, And I just before I continue, there are companies that have tried have done this in the past with events, and I'm not like the first, and I want to acknowledge the people that have come before me because you had mentioned that, and you're right, and I didn't totally pull this out of thin air, and I honor the people that have been trying to do this, and I've met like planners that have like, they're like, yeah, I've walked around events with like a linen spray, right? So I think again, so we don't have the language to talk about it, and then there's not the equipment. There is not a piece of equipment on the market, to my knowledge, which I am in the process of designing it, that is meant for events, and that's why it's also difficult. There is some equipment, like if you want to send something, there's more equipment now that you can buy online and do a room. But when you're talking about 5,000 square feet and bigger, there's nothing, there's like nothing, there's not a full solution you can currently purchase anywhere to scent that space in a dynamic environment, which is why we're a service. I'm in the process of trying to like overcome this, right? Like my personal manifesto is to get sent on the event checklist. And it's like, well, if I'm the only company that you can call and do it, like that's not, I mean, kudos to me for trying, but that's not going to get every event scented. So there are challenges. There is some equipment on the marketplace for smaller events. The bigger the space, I mean, again, like you have to hire huge companies to light a conference center, to, you know what I mean? To light a giant show at any sort of auditorium. So I think, again, shifting the industry's perspective about how we think that scent can mirror the other types of companies in the industry, I think is important. There are instances I've had where I've pitched an event and I come to find that they're like, oh, they ordered some diffusers off of Amazon. And I'm like, Amazon sells nothing that's ever going to work for a space this size. And part of that, again, is on me to educate that, but then to try to find a solution for that too.
Right. And it seems like, talking about production, it seems like the solution could be something that sits along the perimeter of the room, like a lot of uplights do, or is hung from the truss like lighting and sound often is. But then you're the expert to say, well, scent really doesn't travel downward, it travels upward, whatever it is, to ensure that if we did put it in the ceiling, it would actually be impactful and effective. But to your point, I think you're absolutely right. Going the way of production and finding ways to make the scent work in alignment with all the other production that's happening seems like the way to go, right? It's the least intrusive. It's probably the least costly because you've already got some of that infrastructure happening. It's just a question now of adding to it, adding some units on the truss or adding them around the room. So it does make sense to go that route. So you're in the process of trying to brainstorm something that would work for bigger impact. Is that fair to say?
Well, I actually have a prototype. I'll show it to you. Remember that? I have a prototype.
Nice.
It's not just an idea.
I love it.
So the idea behind my prototype is that you can put it on rigging. Nothing exists like this.
It's just for people because we're not video.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a projector. Yes. It looks like a table projector. It's about that size, folks. Very, very handy. Go ahead, please talk about it.
And the whole idea behind it is too, it's funny that you should say uplighting. It's the uplight model. Like to do a large space, like the largest thing we ever did was at Cater Source. You were there. Did you smell the coffee?
I did. I smelled the coffee.
So I hope I'm not revealing too much, but we were asked to do it and we're like, yeah, of course we can do it. And then it's like, we're doing it and we're like, well, we've never actually done this before on this scale with that very specific timing. That's what Cater
Source is for. Go ahead.
So we were able to execute that, but the equipment that we used at the time wasn't ideal, but we had to use like every piece of equipment that I own in order to do, it was a 40,000 square foot, if I'm remembering correctly, space. So again, but like you can't use one light. You can't use one like
No,
commercially
one
available
fixture. No.
piece of equipment to do anything. So that is the idea behind these. We want them to also be magnetic, just like an uplight, right? So you can literally like stick them anywhere, do anything. The technology, I mean, it just doesn't currently exist. So I'm on the process of finding a solution for that. And I think we're not inexpensive either. So it's like, so what are my solutions? We hire this company, or there's nothing, or we buy something on Amazon. I think that like thinking about smaller spaces that you do have control over as an experience creator, is where you start. It's funny that you grabbed your fragrance out of your bathroom. We just won an award as I don't even know what the exact award is, the Ilea Austin. We won for bathroom fragrance.
No, really, that's great.
And it's like, well, they had asked us to sponsor an event, Taylor Swift theme, kind of last second. I was like, well, we can't like, do our whole thing in this amount of time for what, but I was like, here's what we can give to you. So thinking about small areas, thinking about, again, a bridal suite, that is a small enough space. You could light a candle and it would have an impact. And that is an event that's very important in people's lives, that you can affect. Doing an entrance of an event, is sort of another way. The more space you have, the more people you have walking through it, the more difficult it is to strategically sense. But there are touch points that that sort of anybody can think about, or even if it's like a baby shower at home, you know what I mean? Like thinking about like the most cherished intimate events that people host, in smaller spaces, there are lots of solutions for that. And again, just thinking about it, I would not ever use a linen spray, any kind of spray for an area. You literally would have to like walk around and spray it. I'd be careful about candles, but there are good diffusers for smaller spaces that are absolutely available for anybody to buy.
Well, but your service, let's talk about that. I assume that you get calls for intentional scenting, right? There's a moment that wants to be shared, or to your point, there's an area that wants to be spruced up. And so it's intentional, right? People are really looking, they're not just calling you because they want to scent everything. I'm assuming they're calling you because they want something special.
They want to enhance the emotionality, I would think.
Yeah.
Right?
They have a story to tell.
They have a story to tell.
I pitched event for the Hip Hop Awards. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, with two of your colleagues actually. And it's 90s hip hop artists, right? And I delved into, I'm like, what would make this special to them? The research on the scent research is to do like what were popular like men's fragrances in the 90s. What is something that like this audience of this age can smell and not only create a new memory, but sort of like when they were developing their art, like what were their aspirational smells, and like how can we tell that story? So yes, it's very, very, very intentional, very strategic, and that is the big piece of the other thing that we provide. And thinking about just like scent consulting too, like how can we help you tell that story through what we do? And then secondarily, like how do you get that out to a bigger audience?
I think it would be fascinating to work with you on a production, on a show, with video and live performance, and to drench the audience in fragrance at specific times of the show when it makes sense and when it follows the story. I think that would be amazing. I'm immediately taken back to Soarin', believe it or not, at Disneyland.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever been on that ride, but they do use scents. It's a high flying ride. You're sitting in a seat that virtually doesn't move, but the video makes you feel like you're moving through all of these different locations, and they use scent at times to help to make it feel real. And I still remember it. It's just so remarkable, right? And that kind of storytelling, we're so hungry for it in events. We're so ready and hungry for it. And I'm just throwing that out there. We're going to do it someday. We're going to have a show and it's going to be really fabulous. I went on a little tangent. I apologize.
No, I'm here for it.
So how about changing the scent profile? If you're doing some storytelling and you're in a room, is that possible with the equipment that you have today to actually change the profile?
It is. It is a little, I mean, obviously, there are limitations based on, like, again, what scent is, right? So scent is a volatile molecule. So if you really, and I love your use of the word drench. So if you drench anything with a lot of molecules, which would also be in a gaseous state for us, but you could also think about this in a liquid state, it's going to take more, the more drench you have, the more time it is to sort of like have those move through space, right? It also, I mean, it does depend. We talk a lot about molecule size we have a service, an interactive station for events where guests can make their own custom fragrance and they smell top notes, middle notes, and base notes. And we're talking all the time about, like, what's the difference between a top note and a base note? It has to do with the size of the molecule. So if you were to go from like a top note heavy fragrance that was really light, like that will dissipate more quickly than a bottom note. Bottom notes are like, you think of leather, tobacco, chocolate, vanilla. Those are all big, slow moving molecules. Like those would be hard to sort of like follow up with something else.
Okay.
Just because it takes more time for them to move through the space. But fans are amazing and anything's possible. And there is equipment. We don't do this, but on rides, like we work with a company that does the equipment for rides at Universal. So the way that they like sense a moment is very much like an almost like an atomizer, right? On steroids.
Right.
And so their whole thing is to be like, we
Right.
don't use that for events because it's like there's not really an event moment where there's really the same as riding through a ride. And the way that you described even though you were stationary, it kind of like gave you that movement.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like a poof of a fragrance.
Right.
We haven't had the opportunity to do that, but I know that does exist. The thing that from a technical perspective is fans can be loud. So if you again want to move air through, it has to be at a point during a show and well timed and well synced and no surprises where like you're gonna have a big sound moment. You could then push it through potentially with fans. Would be a way to sort of like integrate that solution for that goal.
So that the scent quickly moves through in time with the moment, so that it coordinates with the moment. Very good point. I remember maybe I'm not firing right, but I kind of remember the airflow in the big room at Cater Source being problematic. Do I have that wrong? Was there an issue with some of the airflow in that room, or
there wasn't, when we first got there, we were like, wow, this is a big room. We hope we can make this work, especially because it was timed. And usually our work has, again, if you think about like a guest moving through the space of an event, like a corporate type event, a gala, less of an entertainment show and more of like,
right.
Yeah, like a gala or a wedding or something like that. It's more like it lingers, right? Even the guests linger. And so at some point we were talking to the like head engineer, somebody was like, oh, do you want us to turn off the AC for you? And I'm like, I can't believe anybody's asking me this as if I have any sort of like legitimacy to say, oh, we should definitely shut down the AC unit for this giant space. It was just so wild. I think that's what it had to do with. And it had to do with in that space in a large convention center, they have you have the doors that you load in through, and they're like the big garage doors.
Right.
And then you have the doors that guests load in. And then you have intake and outtake air.
Right.
That's what cools and heats room.
Right.
So I think part of that was just us figuring out like what doors were going to be open and closed during the event so that we knew the air was going to be pulled in a certain way. Because during setup, the service doors are open. And so that changes everything. So I think if this is what you're thinking of, you're not misremembering. So we just had to make sure. And then for we did Cervelli's hot list in the hallway the following day. And again, thinking about how that scent moved through the space as well. So it was important for us to educate ourselves about what that looked like prior to the event, and then making sure that when we did execute for both of those scenarios, we knew where the airflow was expected to come and go based on where the actual intake and outtake were, as well as like what doors were going to be open and closed. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it really does. It does answer my question, and it speaks to the fact that this is very scientific and logistics matter. And, you know, if you want to send an event, I think it does pay to have a professional who has experience there to help you do it in the way that is going to be most impactful.
This is a beautiful example of the expert knowing what to anticipate and what questions to get you to ask or to answer in anticipation, so that there are no bad surprises.
Exactly. Because, you know, when you're selling something like that, you're selling it with a very specific intention, and you're creating the story when you're selling it. So when you bring it on, you want it to do exactly what you said it was going to do. And that's why we need somebody like Tiffany Rose who can help you to get to that point. You do event scentscaping, virtual event fragrancing, which is I'd love to hear about that.
So the virtual event that I was kind of a COVID thing. We would send out the diffusers like what you had. So the idea is that everybody had a shared space, even though they were at disparate spaces.
Uh-huh.
And then we also have a kit where people can make their own fragrances as a virtual team building activity.
Like a workshop, a virtual. Yeah, that's beautiful too. I love the diffuser workshops. I think those would be really fun. I'm a diffuser king. I love
I'm going to send you, if you both like one, obviously, our Design Your Diffuser kit. So you can make your own custom fragrance. I'd love your feedback on it. We sell it for events. It is available on our website. It's not a big part of our business, but it's really cool. It's kind of another silver lining from COVID. So I would love to send you both one and some feedback that you had.
I would love to give you feedback on that. I would love it. I would love it. I would love it. Thank you. So
it'll take away my FOMO.
Yes. We got to take away that FOMO. Can we talk price point and factors? Is it possible to sort of just get an idea, a starting point even? I know.
I'll put this out there in the universe. So for starting at like 3,500 is where we will start to have a conversation about a one fragrance sort of 4-hour experience in a like 4,000 to 5,000 square foot space.
Or less.
Or more, depending on factors. The things that can make our work more expensive is the size of the space. Obviously, we can do big spaces now, so that's exciting. The number of fragrances, if you want more than one. We do include favors now for all of our clients. So if you do book with us, you do get the reed diffusers, so that you get 25 of those as part of the experience.
Beautiful. So that's a great thing to give as a gift. Right.
And that, it doesn't include any of our travel or any of that. I hope I didn't regret. We're putting this package together. That is our basic package.
I don't think you should regret it. I don't think that's over the top at all.
It's just been, I will say, figuring out pricing and figuring out people don't have this in their budget. Guys, if you're in any event planners in the audience, consider adding it to your budget.
Yeah, that's the point. Exactly.
So I think that's been hard. And then our workshop and our interactive station are priced per person. And honestly, it's not much more expensive to have your guests create their own custom fragrance than it is to buy a diffuser on Amazon. And it is a far superior experience.
Yeah. And then you also get the added benefit of, I would assume you've somehow customized the atomizer bottle so that people are going away with a gift from the event that reminds them of the event. There's that added play that you get that you don't get when you order from Amazon, when you do it at your event. Yeah, and you're giving first of all, interactivity at events. If you're not already doing it, then you need to be doing it, because people want to be seen and heard, and they want to experience things. They don't want to just come and be a fly on the wall. They want to be involved. So adding something like that to an event is a great way to get engagement and get people to remember who you are. At a trade show, I bet you're not doing a lot of trade show business, and yet something like that at a trade show could really bring people to your booth, and not only bring them there, but then they're staying there for a bit because they're doing something. They're making their own scent. And while they're there doing that, you have all that opportunity to talk to them about your product. So it's a great thing to do at trade shows if you haven't thought about that already.
Caesars Entertainment is a huge supporter of mine. We're on their wellness menu, and they hire us to do their trade shows, and then they have their clients pick it up at their trade show booth. So it's like a 2 touch point thing, and it's branded with Caesars. So getting something in somebody's own like home bathroom that's branded in a beautiful experience from a branding perspective, and from like we all get a lot of junk, we get a lot of tchotchkes like this. It's a really beautiful, well done, tasteful gift, and people want that in their homes, which I think is valuable.
All right, Tiffany, please don't be offended.
What?
Because every time I walk into my guest bathroom, I think of you. Because
I'm honored. I am the bathroom. Can I get another bathroom award, please?
you absolutely should. Because it's true. It is absolutely true. And even though it's in there, and I know it's in there, when I walk in there, I am pleasantly surprised again, because I know it's there, but I don't remember the scent until I smell it again, and it makes me feel good. So thank you for that.
I just want to speak into, you talk, you can order this and that off of Amazon, but the other thing that people need to take into consideration is quality versus quantity, because you can get something perhaps not well made, not well curated off of Amazon, and it can be overwhelming, and it can, I'm very sensitive to smell. I love it, but I'm very sensitive, and it can overwhelm me, and it can even upset my system. So I would rather spend the money and know that what I'm getting is a quality product, and not just something that's very chemical filled.
Agreed. So I think we have to get down to the nitty gritty, which is our final 5 questions.
The Bollotta-FIDE 5.
Which is a little bit more about you and how you operate, and what motivates you. And so I'd like to start this line of questioning with, very simply, what is your golden rule?
Stop and smell the roses.
This is a very good one. That should be your tagline too. What do you do on a daily basis? Maybe just one thing that you do on a daily basis that you feel contributes to your success?
I try to take intentional breaths and just have a moment of resetting, I should say, before the overwhelm happens, before the client emails and the employees want something and all of these things. I just try to be able to have a moment of breathing and not necessarily smelling.
There you go. I don't think we give breathing enough due, because it really can help, right? So when no one's listening, when nobody's listening, when you're all by yourself and you're talking to yourself, what are you telling yourself?
On a good day, I'm overcoming all of the negative thoughts that creep in there. And I think just reminding myself that that my work is important, and that there's an audience out there, and that there are people and places and things to connect with, and do my best work. When you were talking about being authentic earlier, I'm unapologetically authentic.
I love it.
I do too.
We need more of you.
Yes, absolutely.
Just tell it like it is, be who you are, and we'll all be fine.
And can I just add, we especially need more of you and more women being unapologetically authentic as role models. Thank you for that.
Thanks for saying that. That means a lot.
Okay. What is one change you'd like to see in the world?
One change?
Just one.
What's one change I would like, and I guess this goes back to the first question, which I'm not really sure is my golden rule, but I would like people to take a moment within their own bodies and experience things beyond audiovisual and digital. To really just have a moment with themselves and say, I'm in this body, in this time, in this space. And I think if we all did that a little bit more often and reconnected with ourselves and our surroundings, we might all be a little bit less stressed out, if nothing else.
More grounded. That's a good one.
And more compassionate.
Yeah. So what is your why? Why? I
think these are all really related. I think that, like, again, why? We are human beings in these bodies, and we are nervous systems, and we experience the world in certain ways. And I think we've gotten really narrow in what we accept of how we perceive the world and receive information. And I think within the event industry, that's even more like it's nonsensical in a way. Like, we are experience creators for human bodies, and our human bodies, we don't even give like space to like touch things or smell things, or we shouldn't be licking everything, especially, germs or whatever, but even tasting things or tasting other people's cuisines, or just like really using our bodies in this space that we're in. We're on our phones all the time, all day long. Like, we're so here that I think the why of my work and our work in the event world is to open up here and to connect with each other, here. And we literally cannot do that in the same way through our phones, through digital means.
It's like you're helping people find the portals to transport them outside of this
into awareness and awakeness, right? Into really taking in what's around us, and not just, as you say, walking through life with sort of blinders on, from one task to the next, or from one responsibility to the next, or from one child to the next, whatever it might be, without really looking at where we are at space and time, and maybe even being grateful. Okay, I can't tell you what a great time this has been. We don't really know each other. We met once, and that was in March, but I just liked you the moment I saw you, and you were so kind to help us with our session and to bring sense and to give me this lovely gift that I have in my guest bathroom. And I think that we need to work together more, and the world just needs to know about you, and more events need to be scented, because you're on the right track. And we need more professionals like you who are doing it right and creating experiences, not just happenings. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been lovely.
Absolutely. Say hello to all my friends in Denver.
I will do that.
And hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you, Tiffany Rose Goodyear, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Hey, thank you for listening to Bollotta-FIDE.
If you haven't already, please like and subscribe.
And remember to leave us your questions or comments at bollotta.com/podcast.
Bollotta-FIDE is a production of Bollotta Entertainment.
Hey, that's a lot of Bollotta. Stay engaging.